And a good morning to you. Welcome inside the bottom line. You're on sportstalkguys.com. Got an announcement coming soon about some additional things going on with us here. I'll keep you posted on that. Probably another week or so out, I'll have some updates on that. 26 degrees is our current temperature outside. It is cold this morning, clear. I've seen the possibility of snow moving in this weekend, Saturday night into Sunday, in through Sunday night. I have seen estimates of a trace to an inch to up to 16 inches, depending upon the model that you follow. I'm not giving you anything at this point, but we'll see where that goes. Maybe we'll just get some snow. Maybe that's the case. So we'll see where that goes. But might get a little wintry weather this weekend. Who knows? Can't never tell. Ford had an early morning meeting, so he will not be with us today in studio. Plans to be here on Thursday. Of course, Juju will join me tomorrow morning via phone. Bill Bender will get his take. He was at the national championship game last night. I watched most of it in pieces, okay? I kind of got PO'd early. I felt like some of the calls were, and I didn't realize it was an ACC crew until I heard somebody else say it. I thought some of the calls were a little questionable. I'm still struggling with the first score that Georgia did not get on the scoop and score. Big number 99, I cannot remember his name, but he's out of Mallard Creek in Charlotte. That's where he played high school ball. He is a massive individual, 6'5", 6'6", 340. He had Bryce Young wrapped up with his arms down by his side, and Bryce Young kind of tried to do this. Folks, that can't be a forward pass. To me, a forward pass at least has to have the ability to go forward to a possible receiver. If it doesn't, Billy, good morning. Bill Lovingood, glad to have you this morning. If it doesn't, how can it be considered a forward pass? Somehow that rule has got to be changed when they look at it. If your arms are pinned to the side as a quarterback and you try to do this to get by as a forward pass, do you not have to have some consideration that it could possibly be? I mean, that can't even be completed. I just don't get it. Stephen Lowe, good morning. Maybe you guys can understand it better than I am. I really got upset about that call because that should have been Georgia's first points. I am not an Alabama fan. I don't think I'm exactly an Alabama hater. I do like the Dogs. I've said this before. Had I been recruited, there's a possibility that may have been where I went. I like the Dogs. Went to Clemson, did not get recruited by Georgia. Didn't get recruited by any school in the SEC. Pretty much everybody in the ACC and a couple schools outside of that. But did not get recruited inside the SEC. But Georgia, I've always liked Georgia, and I really liked Georgia when Mark Richt was there. One of the other highlights, if you saw it by any chance, Vince Dooley was in attendance. He was the head coach when Georgia won their national championship back in 1980. And that was awesome to see him, to be able to see him in attendance. He coached. He went on to be the AD for a number of years. Just a football icon. That is Bill Dooley's brother, Vince. But another big special moment for Georgia. Now, I'm not a huge Kirby Smart fan. I will say that. Like I say, I'm a little biased. I still am a Mark Richt fan. Take all those out of consideration. Still like the Dogs. Okay? Still like the Dogs. Georgia comes off with a big win last night over Alabama. I've got two breakfasts coming. I've got one from 4. He gave me Georgia in 13. Scott Cloninger gave me Georgia in 9. I thought Georgia would win close, like we saw 9-6 and some of those scores as you go through. Let me see, go by quarters. I saw the first quarter, most of the second, went to sleep, woke up in the third, late in the third, and watched the rest of the game. But it was at halftime, it was 9-6 Alabama. Then Georgia scores to make it 13-6. I really thought that was going to be the final score. I had no idea that Georgia was going to go on that run and put up 20. Now, I think Bryce Young's not immaturity as a person, but a little bit of immaturity as a player, as a major college football quarterback, I think it showed a little bit last night as a few things he forced. Now, the other thing I'll say about Bryce Young, you talk about, well, he's going to be a quarterback in the NFL. He's small and he's slight. I'm not sure. I'm just not sure. You're seeing it now. Kyler Murray stays kind of banged up. Lamar Jackson stays kind of banged up. Baker Mayfield stays kind of banged up. Vince Young stayed banged up. And these were running quarterbacks. Now, he's not a running quarterback per se. But that may be an issue when you get there. Now, I thought the quarterback for Georgia, Bennett, if you look at his story, JUCO for 2 years, then a walk-on at Georgia, and then leads that team to a national championship. Now, not stellar numbers, okay? He went last night, that was previous game. Go back. Trying to get to the box score from last night. 17 of 26, 224 yards, 2 touchdowns. But enough. Bryce Young, 369 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. He went 35 of 57. But when Alabama got behind, he had to start airing that thing out. I thought Georgia's defense came to play. I will say this. I know that with the injury, I think it was the Williams kid, the receiver, came down on the knee wrong. That did hurt Alabama. I understand that. Every team out there is susceptible to injuries. So you got to have that man-up mentality. Clemson, no excuses there. If you're going to be a major player, you got to be layered. You got to be layered with talent, ready to step in. If you don't, these are the things that happen. But I thought it was a great game. I don't think it disappointed anybody last night. You wanted a close game. You wanted a competitive game. I thought Coach Saban was very humble. And, I want to say that's only the second assistant to beat Nick Saban. And another stat that Cowherd threw out yesterday, and I mentioned it last night when Juju was here, Nick Saban had never lost a game on a neutral field to an average quarterback. Any way you slice it, Georgia has an average quarterback in Stetson Bennett. I don't see him playing on Sundays. I really don't. I don't see him playing on Sundays. The other thing I think that was key to this game, Alabama was held to 30 yards rushing. Now, if you take away the 43 yards in negative yardage that Bryce Young had from the sacks, Alabama still didn't have but 68 yards on 24 carries. That don't sound like Alabama to me. Georgia, on the other hand, had 30 carries for 140 yards. Take off the 24 negative that Bennett had, and you're up there in the 160-yard mark. 2 running backs with almost one. James Cook had 77 yards. Zamara White had 84 yards. Those were huge numbers. As I said, Alabama had 369 yards passing. I don't have a breakdown of when they happened in quarters, and I know that Jamison Williams hurt when they got when he went out injured. Now, this was a game for the seasons, and I'm happy, I'm excited, and in typical fashion, the predictions are already out there for next year. Milton saying good morning, and the predictions say Alabama and Georgia are co-favorites. Alabama will always be on the top. They cannot have the decency to give the reigning champion the odds-on favorite for the next year. I don't like polls. I like stats. Strength of schedule, RPI, all those type things. Those are the things that I want to see. Okay? Those are the things that I want to see. Now, I got a text here. Let me get to that right quick. David says, playoff expansion will generate interest, but the cream will rise to the top. Won't change a thing for group of 5 teams. One of the things that I think, and this has been David Keever's point to expansion in the playoffs, if you don't expand the playoffs, you've got all of the top talent going to go to the same couple schools that are in it every year because they're only taking 4. Now, if they expand that, I like the 8 model. I do. I like the 16 model. 16 in the Group 5, 16 in the FBS. First round play at home. And then do away with some of the other games that are built in there. The other thing I don't like stringing it out as long as we did. I know that the championship was a week away, but I'd really like to see that kind of get wrapped up a little bit earlier. And here's the deal. It used to. And the reason that it did is because the NFL ended a week earlier. You didn't have that big NFL weekend like we had coming down this weekend. But I think it will help some of the parity. The other thing I wonder, if Nick Saban decides to retire at some point, what effect does that have? Does that have an effect? Does it have an effect at all? Brandon Eicher said, what do you think about Saban and Kirby talking about the NIL this past week needing reform, or it result in even more of the rich getting richer if not? Right now, it's the wild, wild west. I think I mentioned earlier, Bryce Young, quarterback for Alabama, got $1.3 million. I wish I could find the story of the Texas booster, and I'm not sure which Texas school it was, how many millions he spent on NIL because he had the business and had the money. That's what I kept saying. There needs to be some money, but not this kind of money. Unless, the other thing that I've said, break it off, forget about the educational component in these big powerhouse football teams, and make it to where you're sponsored by that university, so the alumni got something to cheer about, but you're not really a part of it. You just wear the uniform, carry the name, give them the ability to rah, 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 but make it what it is, minor league football. College football, college basketball, for a long time, have been nothing more than the free minor league system to the big show. Say what you want to, especially college basketball when they cut it down to where you got a year. You only have to stay in a year. It's the minor league system. Minor league system. So I don't know how you fix it. I know that there needs to be some tweaks. And here's the other thing. And this is the thing that I've said over and over. Until college football presidents want to give up some control and go with a centralized commissioner and association, that lays down rules for everybody. Give you an example. The High School Athletic Association has rules, but the local education administration, the LEA of each county or each school system, kind of do what they want to a point. At some point, you've got to say, if you're going to control it so that everything's kind of on an even playing field, at some point, you've got to say, all right, we've got to get into a group, and we're going to establish some rules and guidelines, and everybody that's a part of that group is going to play by it. Right now, that's not happening, especially with NIL. That's why it's the Wild Wild West. It's out there. Whatever you can make, go get it. Whatever anybody's willing to pay, go get it. That's not good. That's not good. The problem now is the genie's out of the bottle. Once the genie comes out of the bottle, I'm not sure you can put them back in. So I don't know what happens. But congratulations to the Dogs. If you're a Georgia fan, congratulations. You've got something to think about, be proud of, hang your hat on, at least for a year, because you are that reigning national champion until another one's crowned next year. Let me take a break. Be back in a moment.
Untangling your headphones, finding the right remote, saying goodbye to your favorite shirt that hasn't fit in 10 years. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with auto owners, insurance doesn't have to be one of them. Auto Owners works with independent agents who live in your community and answer when you call, so you can worry about more important things, like finding a new favorite shirt. That's simple human sense.
Call Mooney Insurance in Maiden or East Lincoln Insurance in Denver or visit mooneyinsurance.com.
Times convenience stores are more than convenient. They're your neighborhood store, your store. With locations in Lincoln, Catawba, Gaston, Iredell, and Mecklenburg counties, there's one near you. Times convenience stores have the right items at the right price, from snacks, cold drinks, and light meals from the grill, and there's always a special to save you time and money. Times has what you need. Times convenience stores, there's one near you. Regardless of where you're going, there's one on your way. Remember, there's always time to stop by Times. Have you thought about when you would like to retire? One of your major assets is planning for retirement is time, and you lose a little of it each day. The longer you wait to start accumulating capital for retirement, the harder it's going to be. How should you plan for retirement? Start by calculating approximately how much capital you will need at retirement, then estimate how much you will have to put away each year. Finally, carefully choose the investments in which you will invest. Stifel Nicholas can assist you. Call Fort Rembert today at 828-624-7300. Stifel Nicholas, member SIPC, and the New York Stock Exchange.
First Federal Savings Bank has been serving Lincoln County since 1940. And as it has been from the beginning, customer service is a priority to First Federal Savings Bank. They want to get to know you by name. First Federal Savings Bank has the convenience, the products, and the services that the larger banks have, but with hometown people that you see throughout your community. Stop in and visit one of their 4 convenient locations and see what First Federal Savings Bank has to offer you. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Whether it's a sit-down meal or a call-in for the drive-thru, Brookwood Cafe and Catering is the answer. A variety of meats, vegetables, and desserts cooked daily, or a hot sandwich from the grill, they have what you're looking for to satisfy your taste buds. If you need catering from 5 to 500, Brookwood has you covered as well. Stop by Brookwood Cafe and Catering at 202 Providence Mill Road in Maiden. Don't forget breakfast daily till 11 a.m. Open Tuesday 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., Wednesday through Saturday 6 a.m. till 8 p.m., and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Call 828-428-8944 to place your order today.
Covenant Church began as a vision of just over 100 people in 1984. Since then, Covenant Church has grown and currently located at 2168 Gastonia Highway in Lincoln. The Sunday schedule includes early morning worship at 8:30, Sunday school at 9:45, and morning worship at 10:45. Their ministries extend beyond Sunday. Visit their website at www.covenantchurch.church to see all they have to offer, and better yet, stop by and see for yourself. Covenant Church may be just what you're looking for a new church home.
If you ask around, you'll find Burke Mortuary has a reputation for excellence and commitment to value. They've built a reputation of trust for more than 35 years. Burke Mortuary is proud to offer personal attention, meaningful tributes, and the area's most affordable prices. They're also proud to offer you beautiful, state-of-the-art facilities. It's the perfect place to honor your loved one. So when choosing a funeral home, the choice is easy. Choose Burke Mortuary with locations in Maiden and Newton.
In the best of times, no one is more deserving of every opportunity, encouragement, and support than the youth in our communities. Parents, teachers, coaches, and sponsors struggle to stretch their budgets to continue help. Communities need a team effort. Times Oil Corporation, a longtime member of the community, established the Times Educational Alliance Mission, or Team Foundation. Since 2011, over $125,000 in grants have been donated in the community. Times Oil and the Team Foundation are proud to be community partners.
And welcome back. Glad to have you here on a Tuesday morning, a cold Tuesday morning. 26 degrees, clear, beautiful sunshine, the crystal blue skies out there. I like that part. But it is cold outside. Don't think there's a whole lot of wind going on, which it could be a whole lot worse if there was wind going on. But it seems to be kind of nice out there right now. Milton said, rules don't mean much if a team can buy their way out of trouble. My thing has been, Milton, and I've said this all along, if they ever got to the point to where these guys were getting something for it, then if they get anything outside of that, they need to drop the hammer. But they don't do that. They have to comply to investigations and all the things that go along with it. But to me, if you give them what they want and it's not enough, then you can't play the game. Somebody's got to enforce the rules, though. You're correct. Mark said Deion Sanders had showed that you don't have to throw wads of money at top high school players to get them to come to your school. Now, he may be the exception to the rule, but I guess we shall see. What he's doing, Mark, he's promising dollars, but he's promising delayed dollars. Okay, when I say that, I think Deion's coming across as I've got NFL connections. You know that what I've done inside the NFL, you know that how much I spend in broadcasting, how I'm respected. That may be what it is that he's getting it done. And here's the thing, Mark. I think Deion gets picked up by a big-time school because if nothing else, if he can't coach, he can recruit. He can bring in these big-time players. And that's a large portion of it. So, I agree. He got a wide receiver. We didn't get a chance to talk about it last night. He signed another top wide receiver. And nobody can figure out how he's doing it. Well, I can figure out how he's doing it. They see a way to make it into the league. So, there you go. That's part of it. And that's a big part of it. But Bryce Young last night, I don't think you put all of it on Bryce Young. I don't think that has anything to do with it, but he said he shoulders the blame for the Crimson Tide's inability to finish drives in the playoff game last night, the championship game. I'm not so sure that that's fair, but he shouldered most of it. He said, we had a lot of opportunities, moved the ball relatively well. We did some stuff well. We didn't execute, and at the end of the day, that's on me. He threw the ball a season-high 57 times and was sacked 4 times. Here's the problem. That's not all that it takes. Would you have thought that Alabama needed to throw the ball 57 times because they couldn't run it? I don't think Bryce Young can take all of it, but I'm sure he's got to take some of it. You know, a month ago, Alabama won 41-24 in the SEC championship game, and he wasn't sacked one single time. But when you come back for that second round, it's a little bit different. You've seen more. You know more. Things are a little different. Now, I'll say John Mechie tore his ACL in the championship game, so he's down a receiver. Jamison Williams injured his knee early in the second quarter on a 50-yard pass. But I'll go back again. Alabama every team has got to have some measure of a running game. If you can't run the ball, every defense, and Georgia's been a top defense all year long, every team's going to lay their ears back and come because they don't feel a threat from your running game. You become one-dimensional. When you become one-dimensional, you become much easier to defend. Now, Milton thinks the offensive coordinator for Alabama is to blame. Well, the offensive coordinator's who? Bill O'Brien. His name's getting tossed around as a head coaching candidate. Mark said a TD pass was dropped from Bryce to the tight end. There were a few other drops as well that hurt. David Lilly said the same thing. And that's what I'm saying. You've got to have some other things inside the game plan. Sometimes, and that's where, especially in the fourth quarter, they were pressing, trying to catch up because nothing else was working. Halftime, 9-6. End of the third quarter, 13-6, or 13-9, I guess. They're in it all the way, but you got to be able to bring all facets of the game. I didn't think Alabama had the defense to deal with Georgia either, and I think they were probably a little too easy in thinking that Stetson would not be able to beat him. I think they thought he was, as most people said, an average quarterback, and he didn't have enough to do it. Now, Mechie and Williams combined for 23 touchdowns this season and were the top two playmakers. Okay? Now, that limited, and you go back, anybody else. Is it the receivers that makes Bryce Young good? Or does Bryce Young make the receivers good? That was always the thing with Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning didn't have that many star receivers besides Marvin Harrison, but he took guys, Tom Brady did the same thing, that maybe weren't top-tier receivers, but he made them better. Did Bryce Young get exposed a little bit that if he don't have the best receivers in the game, he's not as good a quarterback? So I don't know. You'll have to do that. Sometimes I think it's just your time. I think it was time for Saban to get beat. Now, the other thing, and most people will agree with this, does that take the SEC to an even higher level? I guess. Maybe so. But the SEC, they're loaded. There's no doubt about it. They are loaded. And it showed right there last night. Now, is there anybody else that's close that can maybe catch up to them next time? Mark says, I'm confused as to why Bama didn't go up-tempo and see if they could move the ball more effectively. And that goes back to what Milton said earlier. That's your OC. But as with most teams, every call, philosophy, switch is going to go through the headsets of the head coach. Maybe that's not what Saban wanted to do. Maybe because the game was close, you still want to slow that game down. You don't give them an opportunity to get the ball back. And, Bob, you're exactly right. Number 99, that's the big kid out of Mallard Creek. Number 95 and 17 had a lot to do with what went on in that game. I thought it was a great game. A great game. I only missed a little bit in the second quarter, a little bit in the third quarter and halftime because I woke back up. But it was still, I think, a classic game, a great way for college football to end, especially from what happened with the COVID last year and it not being what you thought it would be. It just, I don't know. I don't know. It was fitting. It was fitting. I think college football turned out great. I just think college football turned out great. And we'll see what happens next year. I'm going to take a break, and then I'll look and see exactly what the preseason projection looks like for next year. Take a break and be back.
Untangling your headphones, finding the right remote, saying goodbye to your favorite shirt that hasn't fit in 10 years. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with auto owners, insurance doesn't have to be one of them. Auto Owners works with independent agents who live in your community and answer when you call, so you can worry about more important things, like finding a new favorite shirt. That's simple human sense.
Call Mooney Insurance in Maiden or East Lincoln Insurance in Denver or visit MooneyInsurance.com. Times convenience stores are more than convenient. They're your neighborhood store, your store. With locations in Lincoln, Catawba, Gaston, Iredell, and Mecklenburg counties, there's one near you. Times convenience stores have the right items at the right price, from snacks, cold drinks, and light meals from the grill, and there's always a special to save you time and money. Times has what you need. Times convenience stores, there's one near you. Regardless of where you're going, there's one on your way. Remember, there's always time to stop by Times. Have you thought about when you would like to retire? One of your major assets is planning for retirement is time, and you lose a little of it each day. The longer you wait to start accumulating capital for retirement, the harder it's going to be. How should you plan for retirement? Start by calculating approximately how much capital you will need at retirement, then estimate how much you will have to put away each year. Finally, carefully choose the investments in which you will invest. Stifel Nicholas can assist you. Call Ford Rembert today at 828-624-7300. Stifel Nicholas, member SIPC, and the New York Stock Exchange. First Federal Savings Bank has been serving Lincoln County since 1940. And as it has been from the beginning, customer service is a priority to First Federal Savings Bank. They want to get to know you by name. First Federal Savings Bank has the convenience, the products, and the services that the larger banks have, but with hometown people that you see throughout your community. Stop in and visit one of their 4 convenient locations and see what First Federal Savings Bank has to offer you. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Whether it's a sit-down meal or a call-in for the drive-thru, Brookwood Cafe and Catering is the answer. A variety of meats, vegetables, and desserts cooked daily, or a hot sandwich from the grill, they have what you're looking for to satisfy your taste buds. If you need catering from 5 to 500, Brookwood has you covered as well. Stop by Brookwood Cafe and Catering at 202 Providence Mill Road in Maiden. Don't forget breakfast daily till 11 a.m. Open Tuesday 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., Wednesday through Saturday 6 a.m. till 8 p.m., and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Call 828-428-8944 to place your order today.
Covenant Church began as a vision of just over 100 people in 1984. Since then, Covenant Church has grown and currently located at 2168 Gastonia Highway in Lincoln. The Sunday schedule includes early morning worship at 8:30, Sunday school at 9:45, and morning worship at 10:45. Their ministries extend beyond Sunday. Visit their website at www.covenantchurch.church to see all they have to offer, and better yet, stop by and see for yourself. Covenant Church may be just what you're looking for a new church home.
If you ask around, you'll find Burke Mortuary has a reputation for excellence and commitment to value. They've built a reputation of trust for more than 35 years. Burke Mortuary is proud to offer personal attention, meaningful tributes, and the area's most affordable prices. They're also proud to offer you beautiful, state-of-the-art facilities. It's the perfect place to honor your loved one. So when choosing a funeral home, the choice is easy. Choose Burke Mortuary with locations in Maiden and Newton.
In the best of times, no one is more deserving of every opportunity, encouragement, and support than the youth in our communities. Parents, teachers, coaches, and sponsors struggle to stretch their budgets to continue help. Communities need a team effort. Times Oil Corporation, a longtime member of the community, established the Times Educational Alliance Mission, or Team Foundation. Since 2011, over $125,000 in grants have been donated in the community. Times Oil and the Team Foundation are proud to be community partners.
And welcome back. Glad to have you here on a Tuesday, January the 11th. Can you believe we're almost halfway through the month of January? Where does it go? Jeez. How we do it sometimes. Mark Alton said, did Bill O'Brien and Saban overthink the offensive game plan? I don't know that they overthought the offensive game plan as much as I don't think they felt like their run game was going to get as impacted as it was. Would you have thought Alabama comes up with less than 60 yards in total rushing yards? That's unthinkable for an Alabama team, I think. And it put a lot of pressure on Bryce Young. Now, it's just, like I say, that's me and that's my thinking. But that's – I think you've got to have a somewhat balanced, at least 60-40, in case something doesn't go your way. There's nothing out there guaranteed. Now, here's one of the things that I'm curious. Does Nick Saban get approached by the NFL for one of these jobs that's opened? He had it once before. Could have been a whole different story. He could have been a Jimmy Johnson at the NFL at Miami had he got the quarterback he wanted because it was Drew Brees, and we know the career Drew Brees had. Does he get an opportunity? What's left to achieve? I think I saw a graphic last night that he's won more national championships than any other coach. And probably that will never come again. Milton says they underestimated Georgia's defense. I think the SEC championship game, maybe they didn't go back and reanalyze that enough. And then Mark says Georgia had total control when Williams went down. They had no answer for him. And when he got hurt, it was game over in favor of Georgia. Well, when you're a team like an Alabama, a Georgia, a Michigan, a Clemson, a Notre Dame, an Ohio State, you've got to have layers of people that you can put in there. Maybe not at this level. Okay, make sure I get inside the camera shot here. Maybe not at this level, but at least right here. You can't go from here to here. If you do, you're not the team that you think. So you got to make sure that you've got some subs in there that can pick up the slack. Now, one other story that I didn't get to mention that happened, I want to say last week, Heather Dennis reported that the college football playoff again failed to come to an agreement about expanding. But they didn't entirely rule out the possibility that it could still happen before the end of the 12-year contract, which runs through 2025. Here's the deal. If the contract for an expanded playoff stays with the same company, which would be ESPN, why does it matter if the contract runs out or if they break the contract early? It's going to be a bigger, better contract. Big 12 Commissioner Bob Bowlesby, as he left the meeting Monday, said hours before the kickoff, didn't even get close. What does that mean? Says there are big issues that remain, but we have a lot of work to do. I'm disappointed. There's holdouts for 4, there's holdouts for 8, and there's holdouts for 12, which means even if they don't get a consensus to move to something else, it doesn't look like they have what they need to continue with what they got when the contract runs out. Said that all 10 FBS commissioners voted, but they didn't get close. Beyond the number of teams, there continues to be a disagreement in the room about revenue distribution, bowl games, and whether the Power 5 conference champions should be given automatic bids. Mississippi State President Mark Keenum, the chair of the Board of Managers, said the commissioners presented the 11 presidents and chancellors with a 12-team proposal, but the presidents did not take an official vote. Therein lies the problem. A lot of power, a lot of egos, a lot of empire building. They still think, they remain optimistic and think that they can get there. And they've got 4 years, but I think people want to see a change now. In a release statement from the Pac-12, it said the league supports all of the 6 most discussed models that will allow for expansion to occur before the current contract ends. The league statement is the first to publicly detail the 6 models the commissioners have considered. Now, here's what you got. Qualification for the 12 best teams. As long as it's based on RPI and not, I don't like the committee. I don't like the playoff committee at all. Don't want the eyeball test. Make it be on numbers. Automatic qualifications for the 6th highest ranked conference champions and 6 at large. That was the original proposal back in June. Automatic qualifier for Power 5 conferences and 1 automatic qualifier for the highest ranked group of 5 champion, along with 6 at large. I like that one because that guarantees a group 5 is going to get in. Unless, if it were up to me, I would have a group 5 championship to make it more fair. Qualifications for an best 8 teams. Okay, if they went with 8 instead of 12. Automatic qualifier, 6th highest ranked conference champions, and 2 at-large bids. Okay, now, here's where I guess I don't think it could happen, but let's just say a Power 5 conference has a really bad year. There could be 4 Power Conference teams in the automatic qualifiers and 2 Group 5 champions if they happen to be ranked higher than the conference champion from one of the weaker conferences in the Power 5. I'm okay with that. 2 at-large bids. I'll say again, I don't think there's more than 8 that can compete for a national championship. Automatic qualifiers for the Autonomy 5 conferences and an automatic qualifier for the highest-ranked Group 5 champion, along with 2 at-large bids. Okay? I'm okay with that one. They said it's clear none of the 6 most discussed expansion models had unanimous consent, but most have considerable opposition. And every conference other than the Pac-12 has indicated they would be against at least one of the proposed model. If all 11 members are unable to agree unanimously on a new format, then no expansion can occur in the current term. Okay? I wonder who's the one pushing it back the most. I'm trying to figure out why it is a big deal to move forward. What's the downside, I guess? From a university standpoint and what they get and what they stand to make, what's the downside for that? Matt Hodge said Alabama only aimed 37 yards in Georgia territory. Georgia defense stood tall. Yeah, 60 yards, I think, Matt. That's all they had. Four said, we only had 3 top 4 teams this year. Why have more? 4's plenty. Conferences are so displaced with their levels of quality Power 5 conference champion. Makes no sense to me. Best teams in Final Four, whoever that may be. The problem I have for is we have Power 5 conferences that don't have Power 5 level talent. Okay? Vanderbilt. Duke at this point. I would rather see a football only of, say, 20 schools that compete for that national championship. It's hard to name 20 that could compete. I mean, you could name some schools that have history, but maybe not been good now. In the ACC, Clemson, Miami, Florida State, maybe Virginia Tech. SEC, Georgia, Florida, Alabama, Texas A&M, maybe Tennessee. There's 9. Then, Texas, Oklahoma, that's 11. Ohio State, Michigan, 13. Oregon, Southern Cal, UCLA, 16. I'm doing this off the top of my head. I don't know where you come up with another 4. There's 16, and those 16 can't compete. Is Cincinnati still there next year? Can they continue at that level? I just, when you talk about this, I understand where you're coming from, I really do. The hope being, the thought being, as Keever has said, what hopefully would make it, I guess, kind of work itself out is, as I said earlier, you have more teams in, more top athletes can go to some other schools and bring them up, while the top schools, the Alabamas, the Georgias, the Clemsons, Ohio States, they come down a little bit because they're not getting all of that talent anymore. Look at the number of top talent players that come to a Clemson and I use Clemson because I keep up with it more, and then transfer out because they're not playing, because they got 4 or 5-star freshmen competing for a quarterback or a wide receiver position or a running back position. All those things. So, you just don't know. I like the idea also that somebody threw out, let's play the bowl games the first weekend of the season like the Chick-fil-A Kickoff Bowl. Neutral site, top-notch matchups. You won't have players opting out. The bowl games still get their money. It's all about money. It's about nothing else. When you talk about these bowl games, it's about money to that economy, to those teams. That's what it's about. I can assure you there's a lot of those bowl sites like Boise, Idaho that really don't have that big a concern on what effect that has on the outcome of how college football is viewed at the end of the season. There's not 2 top-tier teams going to Boise in December. And people used to say that was a reward for the way players played. And I'm like, really? Boise in December? New York City in December. You want to go play a game in Yankee Stadium in December and it could be a foot of snow? Back when all the games were in Florida and Texas and California, Southern California, is different. Now everybody has a bowl game. Hey, let's have a bowl game. We'll get a foundation. We'll give them some money. And then the bowl owners will put lots of money in their pocket, as well as ESPN. It's about money, folks. I'm about the sport. You got to have the money. The money's what makes it work, but I'm more about the sport. Don't do it. And one of the things that I hate, and I've talked about this all the time, don't do things because, hey, we've always done it this way. The only bowl game, take out the playoffs, the only bowl game that still has the rich heritage tradition is watched nationwide, regardless of who's playing. And it showed you this year because it was packed out, was the Rose Bowl. Utah, okay? Utah was one of the opponents. They brought a ton of people. I won't say the number 60,000 because it was the Rose Bowl. It had some meaning, not the Duke Mayo Bowl. Sorry, Charlotte. All right, guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a wonderful day. It's cold. Wrap up. See you then.